Face on it, because if y'all realize today the internet is dangerous. Y'all know that? If I preach a message over one page, I have to print it out. There's no way to print it out today. Okay? Not only that, I have 4 videos I was downloading. It was on my phone. My storage's almost full, and I couldn't download them because the internet is down. Okay? And it's like, today is chaos almost, because everything is supposed to flow and work. It wasn't working. But I want to show you a picture today. We're going to talk about the empathy emergency, okay? Now, this right here is somebody that's sad, they're lonely, they're isolated, they're hurting, they're discouraged, okay? And everyone in here has been there before, whether we pretend like we're not, okay? We have all been that person. Okay? And what we're trying to do today is I'm trying to get this message to get out to where we can be the best we can be at finding people who are hurting, okay? And then listening to them and then helping them. And I think a lot of times in a school setting, people are arrogant, cocky, in cliques, certain groups may think they're better than everybody else. So you have to get down to realize that every person on this campus, every person in this world is just as important as you are. Okay? So how many of you in this room right now feel that people treat you here, even at a Christian school, that you're not as valuable as some of the other people? How many of you have been treated like that? Anybody? You feel? Nobody? Okay, all right, free hands. Okay, maybe I picked the wrong message then. Because the most insecure place in the world is when people's trying to fit in, and there's groups like a high school and stuff like that, and junior high, and everybody wants to fit in. Even people go, they live their whole high school career, as it were, being somebody that when they get older, they don't even realize why they did that or whatever. And there's questions and there's doubt. And people are bad about making fun of people. They're bad about, well, you're slow, or you're not good at sports. You're not smart. Things like that. And we get in little negative little mud holes, as it were. And so when we talk about today, the emergency of empathy, we need an empathy emergency. We need to start trying to help people. Now let me tell you something. One of the most frustrating things in the world is helping people. Sometimes you just need to do it. You got to do it. Sometimes you have, and it's like people want compassion, but they don't want to do their work. That's a total different thing. People want compassion, but they don't want to do what's right, okay? There's consequences for not doing right, okay? And so when someone is trying to help you by motivating and trying to do that, some people don't want help. Y'all understand that? I've been teaching since 1986, okay? There's some longer than me, okay? But you know what hurts me just about more than anything in this world is people that need help, but they act like they don't. Let me tell you who needs help in here. Everybody. Let me tell you something. Who needs to give help in here? Everybody. That's not my place. I'm not doing it. And over, we laugh at people, we make fun of people, but yet we do not even know these people. We don't even really know our friends, really. What are we going to do? We can see, and we ought to learn where we're sitting, billions of people have sat before. And should we not look and see at some of their mistakes and see what can help us when we're adults? Or do we just keep the cycle going of worrying about ourselves? There was a professor in college. He went on to start the class with his first-year students, and he went on telling about, he's got this degree, that degree, he's done this, he's went there, blah, 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 blah. And after all of this, telling about how all the things he had done, all the things he knew, and just, kind of looking down on them as students. And then he asked a question. He said, if you're in here and you feel stupid, stand up. Well, in college, nobody stood up. Well, he thought, well, I just told how wonderful I am, and now I'm going to ask it again. If you're in here and you think you're stupid, stand. And he's like, well, nobody's going to stand. About that time, he caught somebody out of the corner of his eye. A young man was standing over here on this side. And he said, so do you feel stupid? And the boy said, no, I just didn't want you to stand up by yourself. You see, even though the man was being mean-spirited, what did the young guy show him? He identified with it. He stood up. You ever heard the story of a little boy at school who peed his pants? And another boy went and got water and put it in the same place on him? Because kids were laughing? Now let me ask you this. What kind of person are you? The kind of person who would ignore it and say, he's embarrassed enough? Or are you the kind of person who would laugh? Are you the kind of person who says, oh, that's great, I'm glad somebody helped? Or are you the kind of person who would do something so that person would not be laughed at? You see, we are trying in our life, and there's so much things that we need to understand about ourselves. I think most people do not even understand ourselves, so we cannot understand other people. So in Romans chapter 12, verse 15, we're going to read this. This is our key verse. It says, rejoice with those that rejoice. Have you ever seen, even in a school setting, where somebody does a good grade, somebody does a good shot, somebody does something good, and people cannot even rejoice with them that they did good? Have you seen that? I don't know if it's because of jealousy or they don't like them, but a lot of times we do not know how, as human beings, it seems like, to rejoice when something good happens to people. And then most people have to rejoice by themselves. Or we do certain little cliches and sayings that's like, oh yeah, just real short and shallow, which, not bad, but it's not completely good either. But the second part of this verse tells us to weep with those that weep. When we are only concerned about ourselves, do we notice people that are hurting? Do we notice people that are sad? Do we notice people that may be suicidal or they may be at the end of their rope? Do we notice people who are hurting? Do we notice people that are in pain? And let me tell you, when people are hurting, it's hard for them to open up because of the past experiences, okay? And so when we begin to look at this, Romans 12:4 says, we are all members of one body, and we're all parts that have different functions. Everyone is just as important as everybody else. I want y'all to say that. Everyone is just as important as everyone else. Now, the three people who said they felt like they were not important, they really ought to have a lot of people here helping those three, if they're the only three that need help. students here. There are people whose their family dynamic has changed. There's people here who have families went through divorce in recent years, have faced death of parents in recent years. The pandemic, all these things are going on, and we are either connecting to people or we are being critical of people. Our job as Christians is to connect, okay? Now, if you don't want anybody to connect to you, don't fuss when nobody is there one of these days when you're all by yourself, okay? The best investment that you will ever make is to be nice, kind, helpful, encouraging for people to do right and love them even when they don't. It's hard to do. So when we begin to look at this, are we connecting with people? Are we critical? Well, here in Romans 12, you can see in 3b in the passage, it says, I tell everyone among you not to think of himself more highly than he should think. Let me just ask this question here, okay? Do you think there are people here that think more highly of themselves than other people? Y'all think anybody here, two people? Man, I tell y'all are either dead or asleep. Because in every school there's ever been, there's some group that think they're better than everybody else, okay? Maybe you're in that group, maybe. I don't know. But here's the situation. We should not think more highly of ourselves. It says, think sensibly. Be sensitive to other people's needs. As God has distributed a measure of faith to each one. If you are better than everybody else, then there's a great responsibility on you. You get that? If you are more stable, if you are more financial, if you are faster, if you are better at something, then you should have the responsibility to bringing peace and balance to everyone else. Because every class here has several people that are like the little picture. Somebody is sitting and they're in a dark cloud. There are times when we feel all alone. You may have 100 friends, but there's times in your life where you're not going to feel like you have any. You're going to feel your friends have betrayed you. You're all alone. The people you care the most about, it's not that they don't love you, but they're going to be busy. They're going to have their own thing. And the problem is when there's a group and there's a one, whose responsibility is it to try to bring that one back in? The group? But one is already, nobody loves me, I just want to go eat dirt. I mean, they're in bad shape. So when we begin that, and we start looking at this passage, look at verse 16 in Romans 12. Live in harmony with one another. Some classes here are fussing and fighting and stabbing each other. It goes on and says, do not be proud. And it says, hang around those that are humble. Do not be wise in your own estimation. Again, these things cause they cause cracks. But when you identify and you try to help, you are connecting people. One of the things God hates is people who bring division. Y'all know that? Pride, people who cause division. You have to be careful. In the current stage of life that we have, it has become more challenging. Being a kid is more challenging. Being a student is more challenging. Being an athlete is more challenging. Being whatever it is that you do for a hobby is more challenging. With your parents, being a parent is more challenging. Being a single parent is more difficult. Having a spouse and children are more difficult. Managing health issues is more difficult. Having a boss is more difficult. Being a senior citizen and being sick and all the things that go with that are more difficult. Being a friend is more difficult. Being a church member, everything has become more difficult in recent days. One product of this pandemic, polarized society that we're in right now is that we began a self-preservation, self-focus, okay? And when we begin to look at this self-focus, we try harder. We do more to try to be happier. We do more things by ourselves. And it helps us not to notice others. We focus more on ourselves and see less of others. We become insensitive to the needs, concerns, and feelings of other people, especially those who do not share our specific circumstances in life, our perspectives, and our opinions. Let's say it's late on Friday night. You're relaxing from a hectic week. You're playing a video game, reading a book, trying to sleep. The phone rings. It's a close friend calling in a panic. You do not have a boyfriend, but she is calling and saying that her boyfriend cheated on her and they have broken up. The average person in our society today would say something like this: "Don't worry, there's plenty of fish in the sea. Don't worry, you'll find another one. You knew he was a cheater before you got with him. I never liked him anyway. Why are you so upset? He's such a loser." There's usually a stunned silence, and even though they have talked for 30 minutes, the phone usually hangs up with the person on the other end who needed some help, if nothing else, needed someone to listen. The person is more sad than they were to start with. They're more lonely than they were to start with. You thought you were trying to comfort, but what went wrong? You were not empathizing with them. You see, we can walk by and we can notice people's needs. We can even say cliches, but what people need is somebody to help them. Now, you're going to have to help people, and there's going to be people that are needed to help you. There are people God has put right here. You go to school here, you're around people. They should be, the people you're around the most should be the people that should help you, okay? They should be the people that help you. You're going to have to learn empathy. They're going to have to learn empathy. You'll get another one soon enough. No. Empathy is the ability to understand another person's thoughts and feelings in a situation from their point of view instead of yours. Now, I've been working on this. I am definitely not great at this. That's why I'm preaching it, because I had never heard anybody else preach on the empathy part of it. We've had several good sermons recently on compassion and love, and they've been good, and they've been awesome. And I think we need them, man, and it's it. And so I thought I would go from a different angle here on empathy, because I think we're not being sympathetic even to people's needs. We're not putting ourselves in the place of other people. If you look at lunch, there's one sitting by themselves. There's two sitting by themselves. There's three sitting by themselves. And then you have some tables where there's 80 people come and sit or come by and talk. And and there's nothing wrong with being popular, okay? There's nothing wrong with being good at something. But if we're not careful, it makes people feel less and less of anything. And why do they even come to school? There are people that are sitting right by you that do not like to come to school, not because of the academic, not because of the rules. Some of y'all might be in that category. But there are people who don't want to come to school because of classmates. They don't want to come to school for all kinds of different reasons. But one of them is not that everybody is empathetic. Every situation in our life will not have somebody there to help. We'll have Jesus, and we want to make sure that you remember that. Empathy is filling with the person, and it's climbing down with them where they are. And so the first point this morning, and if you want to write this down, I believe these will help you. We're going to look at verse 9. Acknowledge their hurt, their pain, or their need. You may not can fix it, but the first level is at least to see it, to acknowledge it. I have been teaching for a long time, and every year just about somebody would tell me, it's like I'm not even there in my class. Or it's like, I think my class would be a lot happier if I wasn't in the class. Isn't that sad? Especially in a Christian school. And I'm not thinking, well, we're not that bad of people. We're just busy. We're just worried about, trying to survive and try to be popular ourselves, maybe. I don't know what it is. But remember, everybody here has been like this right here. And every class and every person here has seen somebody like this. Now, whether we noticed and acknowledged their need, their pain, their hurting, okay? So, what happens then is in our life, and a lot of times, before long, that little cloud becomes a hole. It's a dark cloud. It can cause depression, isolation. It can cause all kind of thoughts that, you shouldn't be thinking, okay? But here, we have right here, this dark part right here, we're down in a hole. This is what some people can do. Now, some people can come in here and they can laugh and make fun of us, okay? They can tell us mean things, you wore those same pants yesterday. You're poor. You can't. Well, where do you buy your clothes at? What's wrong with you? You're ugly. All kinds of things. But hopefully, we're not going to have to talk about the apathy part of it today. But what we want to talk about is empathy. Even if you said right down there, you acknowledge it, but you really can't help too much from that point of view. People don't want to get down out and go down into the hole to help people. And so we're going to look at it in just a minute. We're going to see and try to, but the first step is we need to acknowledge their hurt, their pain, and their need. Verse 9 says, let love be without hypocrisy. Do you know what hypocritical love is? It's loving some people and not loving others. Now, as most every class has, they always ask, Mr. Wright, who's your favorite? I don't have favorites. I just like everybody, okay? I love everybody the same. Now, let me tell you something. Everybody wants to be a favorite of somebody. Everybody wants to feel special. Everybody wants to feel loved. Is that the atmosphere of our class? Or does everybody feel isolated? Does everybody feel picked on? Let love be without hypocrisy. And listen to this. It says detest evil, hate evil. And it says cling to that which is good. There are a lot of people hurting. We talk about what we may do in the future. But if you want to be better at what you do in the future, you need to learn empathy now. You'll know how to work with other people better. Whether you're on a team or whatever, you've got to learn to acknowledge things. Notice the need. Admit that they have a need, and it is real, and it is true, and it is made known. Most people, when they're in a mess, I've noticed in teaching that kids say, "Oh, they're just making a big deal out of nothing." Let me tell you something. Even if they're making a big deal out of nothing, it's not nothing to them. Y'all get that? Oh, yeah. Remember? We're tough. We're popular. Yeah, it ain't nothing to us. But somebody that is not popular, somebody that is not strong, whatever it is, somebody that is not athletic, somebody that's not in there, can't have the A's all the time. We have to watch even what we say because we belittle people in situations. You need to acknowledge it. They're going through difficulties. It can be terrible. It can be isolating. It can be lonely. Empathy is an enormous concept. And we're going to talk about these three levels. First of all, you've got to acknowledge their hurt, their pain, and their need. You've got to build and help people to strengthen themselves where they're mentally, emotionally can handle things. Simply knowing how the other person feels and what they might be thinking is not enough. That's perspective thinking. We must go a little deeper. We must put ourselves into our friend's shoes. We don't know what it's like. We don't know what it's like. Now, I don't know what it's like to be in your grade now, but I know what it was like when I went to school. When I was your age, I was your age, but things are a little different. There were fights every day at my school. There were people beating up people just because of skin color in my school every day. They were people that would hate people and not even know people. Is it any different now? Do we really know the people that we sit by? You could think of your friend. Maybe they lost a job. Maybe somebody has to support a family. Their income has been cut. All these things. But there's other jobs. Just like there's other boyfriends. In John 11:33 and 35, we see that Jesus went to see Lazarus. Jesus knew that he was going to raise Lazarus, so he's not sad over that. I mean, whether he's hurting over the people that's not getting saved, the people not believing, here it is, the shortest verse in the Bible, and Jesus is doing what? He's weeping. If you'll notice before this, John 11:35, you'll notice in 33 that Lazarus' family's weeping. Jesus could be just crying because his friends are hurting. I have seen, especially during the election, I don't care whether you're a Democrat or Republican, you shouldn't want anybody to die. You should never want anybody to hurt. I heard some of the meanest comments about political people during the election. If people want to vote for somebody else, they need your prayers. If you got the right one and they don't, what do they need? Your prayers or your condemnation? Everybody's got a right to be dumb on their own. So, not even just in the political sense. How many times in a ball game we say, I'm going to knock him out of the game. I'm going to hurt them. That's real sportsmanship. No, you do your best within the rules to win the game. If we're not careful, Everybody's a rival. We hate every school. Blah, blah, blah. We're missing great opportunities to have friends. One of my best friends, of course, I went to public school, he went to public school. We hated each other. Man, I think that was so dumb. We're good friends. Now just think, if we would have been friends when we were in school playing against each other. But no, he went to a different school. And we hate them. Why do we hate them? Because they can play basketball better than us, or they can play football better than us. I mean, if you're not careful, you hate people for no reason. You ought to be pro-Bethel. You don't want anybody to get a leg broke from on any side. If you win by hurting somebody, have you really won? Empathy doesn't just happen naturally, it's a battle. Our fast-paced society does not often encourage us to take a moment to connect with others. Our language is disconnected. What'd you say? I mean, you didn't even hear what they said. And how do we respond to it? There are some people in your class who say, what do you say? And then there's other people in your class, what'd they say? Every time they open their mouth, it's something stupid. Is that even Christian? You know who Jesus would be concerned about in your class? It's probably not the ones you are, because he loves everybody. But when he's seen people alone, being judged, being torn down, you think, who would Jesus want to sit by? You? Or somebody that you push down daily? So, when I began to look at all this stuff, man, and I've narrowed it down to 12 pages. Of course, we're fixing to be through in about 4 minutes. But the second point is you have to attach to the hurt, the pain. If it makes them sad, it ought to bother you. You ever seen, thinking of empathy just in a quick word picture, you can think that stumping your toe. You ever seen somebody do it and like, that's a low, that's having empathy. That's trying to help with, it's like, oh man, I know that hurt. That's got to hurt. Y'all ever said that or heard that? See, we're acknowledging it, and we've got to feel it with them. If they're down in a hole, then we need to climb down there and be with them. Feeling with that person. I remember when I was in school, and I was pretty popular at my last school I went to, but I changed so much I never was popular in the others because I wasn't there long enough. But I remember one time talking with my friends, and they, and I just tried to laugh off everything. I was poor. A whole bunch of bad things. They get to joking. Every day, I could handle it most days, but one day I wasn't doing very good. I was just doing the mully grubs. Man, I was down. And they said something, it was kind of mean. I don't remember what it was, but I said, you know what? I've got feelings too. I was just tired of it. And they started singing. Feelings, nothing more than feelings. I mean, you already heard. You already stood up to say that's enough. And then true friends, that's what they do, isn't it? I mean, they don't know when to stop. And that's the people that are your friends. No wonder we're negative. No wonder we're critical. Have you attached to someone's hurt? It can be emotional, mental, and we're not going to get into that. I've actually been working on this for a while, and I've got like 5 messages here. So I'm going to get to the third point. Acting on the hurt. Many people may notice it and acknowledge the pain, the hurt, the need. Many people may even attach them and say, I feel terrible for them. You might be more emotional with the other people. But in verse 13, you will see that something begins to change here. Share with the saints in their need and pursue hospitality. With this kind of empathy, we just need to understand that predicament they're in. not how they got in it, even if they did it dumb or whatever. To be honest, showing empathy is more about action than it is about words. One day you will get down. You'll get more down than you ever realized you could get. Doesn't matter how positive you are. Doesn't matter how great things are going now. Our world is beaten down on everybody. And you and I will try to battle out of a hole. Our actions will speak louder than any words that we will say. Maybe it's a hug. Maybe it's sending flowers. Maybe it's a handwritten note. Maybe it's to do a job at their house. Maybe at home you can do the laundry or the dishes. You see, instead of saying things like, everything happens for a reason, this too shall pass, just look on the bright side, God won't put you through more than you can handle, God has a plan for you, I know exactly how you feel. Well, let me tell you about my story. Or telling someone, and it's like, we don't know what to say, so we just say the same thing's been said to us. Somebody died. Well, he's in a better place now. Well, he's not right here, that's why I'm hurting, or whatever. This could be a blessing in disguise. They're not ready to hear that. Something better is around the corner. Empathy. There's an emergency of it. We need it. And in closing, I'm sorry you're going through this. I'm sorry. I don't understand everything you are going through. Yeah, I've been that age, but I haven't been in your class. I haven't been in a Christian school. I went to a public school. I've been there, but I can't relate to how deep you are into your friends, whether they're good or bad. Wow, that really stinks. I'm sorry. Man, I hate that happened to you. Boy, this must be hard for you to trust people after this. That sounds real challenging. I see how this can be difficult. These things are words you could say. People are hurting. Doesn't matter what age they are. Doesn't matter what economic status anybody is. Doesn't matter what grade you're in. Doesn't matter what hobbies you do. There's somebody that's with you that's hurting. And you'll be hurting one day. And there are people that are trying to help you. They may not know what to say. They may not know what to do. But they're trying. We need to show compassion, kindness, love. We need to have empathy. There's an emergency of empathy needed. We need to take people in to the holy hospital and pray for them. Do you know what ought to mean a lot to each one of you? That your teachers pray for you every day. They're out for their own good. Matthew, Jamie, what y'all doing over there? Why are y'all so negative toward the teachers? I don't like this one. I don't like that one. Do you think that would be easy for a teacher to not like some students? But when we're praying, I don't go through here and start praying and say, pray for you, skip her, skip him. I might pray for him a little bit, maybe. You're being prayed for. You're being cared for. You may not like the way they're doing it. And you might would do something different. But you're not in that situation, are you? You're in your situation. Try to let the teachers help you. They're not here to be your enemy. They're here to help. We're trying to be empathetic. Now, let me tell you something. Life is hard. And it will not get any easier. Y'all understand that? You're going to have house payments. You're going to have fusses with wives and kids and husbands, and life's going to go on. There's going to be sicknesses and death. There's going to be things that you could not even imagine going on right now. And some of y'all are not empathetic with what your parents are having to go through to get you here. And then some, ultimately, not just teachers and parents, some people don't realize what Jesus did for you not to stay down in that situation. Jesus took all of our suffering. He took our sin and our punishment. The most emphatic person in the whole world is Jesus. And he took your pain. And he has people to help you. Let's do it together. I can do it on my own. Let me tell you something. You're going to need some people. I'm going to need some people. Your parents are going to need some people. Other teachers are going to need some people. Let me tell you, Jesus has put people right by you right now. Are they helping you? Are they identifying with your pain and your hurt and your needs? Or are they putting you down, criticizing, laughing at you? We're either helping or we're hurting. There's an emergency of empathy needed. Let's bow our heads. Every head bowed, every eyes closed. Don't want to be long, but I want to ask a couple questions. You need to keep your head bowed. If you're here and you've went through a rough time, would you lift your hand up? You've went through one. Thank you. Now this one might be a little harder because went is past. How many are here and you are going through a rough time? Would you lift your hand? Many hands. God bless you. More questions than answers sometimes. Maybe here, and maybe the Lord convicted you and said, you know what, I need to be a more empathetic person. I think God has called me to help people. And would you lift your hand up? I want to be a more empathetic person. God bless you. Now maybe you're here and you said, Mr. Wright, I have not been very nice. Maybe I thought more of myself than I should have. Maybe I've just been busy, but for whatever reason, I have not helped people. And you say, Mr. Wright, would you pray for me? Would you lift your hand up? God bless you. God bless you. To start out being kind. Start noticing. Dear Jesus, we love you. Thank you, Lord, for the message. I thank you, Lord, for the Word of God. I pray, God, you'll be with us. Lord, there are many people hurting. Lord, there are parents hurting. There are teachers hurting. There are students hurting. Lord, there are people in our churches hurting. Lord, they are hurting people, Lord. Whether we're in the McDonald's drive-thru, Lord, they are hurting. There are people hurting everywhere. And it seems we get shorter and shorter with people. And Lord, sometimes we're just lashing out ourselves. But Lord, I pray, God, that you'll get each one of these young people, Lord, and raise their hand for whatever need it is. And Lord, I pray, God, that you would help us. Lord, yes, we've got to teach the class. Yes, we've got to go by the rules. Lord, help us, Lord, to keep people feeling loved, cared for. And Lord, I pray, God, that you'll be with us in Jesus' name. Now, before Mr. Brick comes up here, I want to show you something. I want to show you this picture right here. There's a you and there's a me. Y'all see that? There's a you and there's a me. Once we meet, there's a we. There should never be a me by my, or you by yourself and a me by myself. It's us now. It's we. You and me have a what? We. And we need to help each other. We need to do the will of God. Emergency, empathy emergency. God bless you.
Such a needed message for sure, and so easy to be selfish. Know I can be that way, and man, what a message to get our eyes off of ourselves and look for people who are hurting. It won't take you long to find them, I promise you. Teachers, at this time, any announcements that need to be made? Ms. Williams. Okay, all SLI meet Ms. Williams. Sound moves with Mr. Chad, Brother Chad. Coach Trout. Okay. Sounds good. Anything else? Mr. Bridget. I'll give it up for Mr. Bridget.
Just a couple announcements. The juniors and seniors, this is from Mrs. Kroom. LCC has fall break Monday and Tuesday, October 11th and 12th. You are allowed to come in second period if it is your LCC class day. Otherwise, you should be here. You're only excused from your LCC classes. So if you have any questions with that, please see Mrs. Kroom. Tomorrow, I know there's a lot of questions about tomorrow. It is going to be a spirit day. Here at BCA, we do have the Pink Out Spirit Day. So I just want to go very quickly as a reminder of the dress code for that, okay? So girls and boys, athletic shorts and athletic pants are permitted as long as they meet the length and fit requirements. K-5 through 5th grade, loose fitting and no shorter than 3 inches above the knee. 6 through 12, loose fitting and no shorter than the kneecap. Okay, please help us with that. Don't cause a problem for me, you, anybody else. Length requirements. Volleyball, don't wear your uniform, they're too short. Come down to the knee. Soccer, don't wear your uniform shorts, they're going to be too short. Okay, so just keep that in mind. You guys got to come to the knee. Number 2, non-collar shirts are permitted as long as they follow all other guidelines. They need to be loose fitting. No inappropriate pictures or words. Girls, loose-fitting jeans are permitted as long as they are part of the costume. Please do not wear jeans that have rips or holes in them, and that goes for guys as well. Even if it's patched underneath, there is no rips and holes. Number 2, if leggings or jeggings are worn in shorts, a skirt or a dress that meets length requirements must be worn. Jeggings or leggings that look like jeans, although they have the appearance of jeans, they are too tight to wear as pants. All students not participating in Spirit Day must be in, well, be Friday dress, right? Regular Friday school dress, t-shirt day. If you have a question, come see me. Ask me or another teacher, and we'd be glad to explain that to you. So it is a Pink Out Day, and also, the ball games. Varsity, what time do y'all usually start? Around 5? Okay, so that's kind of the bigger event is the varsity volleyball. They'll start around 5. We ask you to come out and encourage them and promoting and fighting and promoting the fight against cancer. So I hope to see you all there. Let's have a good time. Let's have some fun tomorrow with that, but let's do keep us under those guidelines. Mrs. Williams. That'll be, they'll have that during their lunch. So during lunch, big bake sale, okay? So come out and support. Everything $1 there, so bring some money and eat a lot of goodies there, okay? Teachers, any other announcements? Okay, you may be dismissed. Go to your meetings.
Always set me up.